Hello, my name's Giles Leaman and I'm surrounded with a lot of bottles. Now I'm an artist and I like to use whatever I find to make different sorts of things. So I've got some bottles today. As you can see, you can use them as a musical sound. This one would probably have something you could find in the house, a few buttons. And there was another one that's cut off. And I'll show you the reason why it's cut off in a minute. But you can experiment with these, you can try different things. So there's a shaker with two different parts. Now this is another shape we've got, which is also, yeah, this one is cut off. And luckily, I seem to have a piece of tube. So that's another instrument I can show you. This is an ordinary plumbing water pipe. Right, that's probably done something to the recording equipment here. Anyway, so yes, all these different bottles are a really good resource for making art. And so the other idea I have is making these flowers out of the bottles. So I've got a lot of different bottles here. They're just ones that you would find about. So basically you take one of these bottles and you take this little bit off here because you don't want to have the label on it. And you've got a bare bottle there. Now, so in order to make the petals, you want to do a line all the way along. You've got to find a pen that draws on it, perhaps. And then you've got to do one opposite, so you get another one, two lines, and then one in the middle. Now it might take a little bit of drawing. And basically you've got a crisscross of one going downwards, one going across. And you've got to safely be able to cut this bottle. So I squeeze it normally like that, and we cut that bit off. Now there are several ways to make this bottle flower. This is the simplest way. So I'm going to cut right down here. And you can go right down to the bottom, even. And this is where it gets quite interesting, because it sort of feels like it could be a rattle, and I've just discovered you can use them as rattles. Like that. You tend to be able to push it right down, because actually we're surrounded by these flowers that I've made. These are some of them as well. I can take a piece off and I'll show you. But that's the same shape, that's the 4 petals. Now you're saying, well, how do we get the colours on that? Well, I'm going to show you right now. This little cut, you can just take the corners off. And I will be showing you in a minute how to make even more elegant petals, I suppose. As you get used to it, you can make them more shape. So I'm just taking those corners off, because they're quite sharp actually. Now so you've got that. Now you're thinking, how do I get the colour on there? Well, our good friend Sonia, who's part of the Recycling Week event, has just told me that you can use old nail varnish. And I haven't got any here, but if you were going to paint on the back of it. So I've got some ordinary like poster paint. So you paint on the back of it like this. This is one way of doing it. So I've just done that now. We might be able to use it at the end as part of the flowers we make. So this is very roughly done. But I'll tell you in a minute how to get it a bit more expertly looking. So there's just a little bit of colour. You can use house paint, emulsion. It's quite good. Spray paints are very nice. If anyone has any of those spray paints, sometimes you can use those. So that's that green one. I'm going to have to be quite careful because it's wet. So that's that one there. So there's all these different shapes you get. So this is a spray paint one, you see, and that's a bright red. So if I may, I'll go straight into this. These have been painted beforehand, and you can paint them in lots of different patterns, and that's how you get one of these, where you get a design, you see. But you can just go for one colour, and that looks really good as well. So what I'm going to do is the same process. You have to take the top off before you cut them. I'll cut it off first. Yeah. So remember, good old squeeze. Once you've got that first cut, you can then go around safely. You're not going to be using knives or anything like that. So scissors are really good for this. So you've got this little pot now. That's quite useful for something. You can put my corks in there. Okay, so there we are. That's that shape. Now, do you remember I said, perhaps if I do it like this. I'm going to be freehand, but if you can get it as straight as possible, and then this is the opposite. So that line's in front of me now. I'll go down here. Now this pen is actually wonderful because it draws on plastic. It's made by Posca. I'm advertising a product, but actually that is an amazing pen. You can draw on plastic. So if you can get hold of one of those, or the whole set, they're the most beautiful pens. They're a kind of paint pen. Right. So, what did I do before? Yes, now I'm going to work out the centres of these, because this time we're going to try and be a bit more artful. So that goes to the middle, and that goes to the middle. Do you see what I'm doing? Still going to end up with 4 petals. You can do much more ornamental stuff. I'm doing a very simple one here. Right. So then, whoops. Whoops. And then right down the centre line. I find going all the way down to the bottom is really good, because you'll see in a minute we can form the shape. Right. Obviously you can take your time about it. I'm going quite quickly. So that last corner is cut off. Right, well that's... So then you pinch it at the bottom. So that's quite... You don't have to do it fully. You can play about with it, but that's quite good for a start. So you got that very generous flower. And I told you about this pen. But remember, the nail varnish will probably work. Because you painted on the back of the bottle, it's got this wonderful look. So the paint's there, but it looks very, very professional, if I say myself. I'm going to quickly make those. Is that all right? And then we can make one flower. So this one's another one. It's got a line already, so I'm going to follow that. And obviously you would draw, but I'm going to go for freehand. Right, so that's at the bottom. Just very simple, this one, because we're going fast, as I said. Right, that's the next one. Yeah, I might need someone to help me do that. Quite nice. So this one, I want to use it as part of this final piece. Let's just do the blue one as well. This is going to be multicoloured, isn't it? So you've got three little pots now to put all the bits in. Right, it's a nice looking one, this one. Right. I think, now I've got the trumpet there still, I'm not quite sure why, but it's still there. But maybe it's part of the story. This is a piece of overflow pipe. Right, so that one's next. And then this one. It's one of those, I see. Oh well, that doesn't fit quite. It's different sizes, but whoa. Let's take that one off. I'll tell you why. I've got another idea for this one. It's completely stuck on. This is a wine cork. and you can fix other ones onto it if they want to go on. It doesn't want to go on anyway. So, and then you can fit other flowers onto it like that, you see, and then they sit together. Okay, so well, that's basically our lovely little flower. I'm just going to see if I can get it to go with the blue one. Stick that one in there. Oh, does that work? I have to say, it's certainly all the colours. So there you are. That's our big flower. Well, this piece was made in the period when we had to stay at home in lockdown, and it was part of a project. I was working with a local arts organisation called Groundswell Arts, and they work in Chestnut School and Woodlands Park Nursery and lots of other different places around here. And I'm a local resident. I live just at the other side of the park. And the idea was to make something that lots of people could make around the community. And so lots of people made these flowers. I told them how to do it, and I made one piece myself. And this hung outside my house for a whole month. And it's called the Rosette to Lockdown. It's like a sort of big rosette, you know, almost like you'd wear if you were campaigning or something. And these are all flowers that I'd made in the process of showing people how to make flowers, and I thought I'd use them. And I've basically used up all the different bits and pieces that were in my shed. So round shapes and rings and hoops. And there's something quite amazing, I think, that the actual flower, I won't take it off, but it's just held on by the bottle. So I made a hole and put the flower through, and I put the top back on, and that's what holds it there. So I quite like that. I just used what was naturally there in the bottle. So that sometimes you get the design from what you're working with. And the frame that it connected to are round shapes that you get at the top of a lampshade, and the light bulb would normally go through that hole, but we've got a rather flowery light bulb there. So these are different drink tops, because we were doing a lot of drinking in lockdown. This is, it says bread, and it's made of dough, salt dough. So I started making bread in lockdown. And also my partner was doing a lot of knitting, so there's wool. So a lot of things that were to do with being in lockdown are in this piece. And I was really going for the big punchy colour, because we were in lockdown in summer when all the flowers are coming into bloom, and I felt like they represented the garden or the park, somewhere where we could go and be outside. So these represent our ability to go outside the house in lockdown.